get started by breaking these up a bit. Oops. This stuff's pretty stringy. Unsure why that would be. I think these I'm going to need to be careful in that joint because I can see it's taking a little material off. This color is absolutely beautiful though. Beautiful, beautiful color on these. Tricolor Silk PLA. Really, really nice color on these blanks. Alright, now we gotta start matching them up. So we got 2 of those, and we're gonna take our BBs and our thin super glue, and we're gonna scoop up some BBs. Don't need many, just enough to get the rattles in there. Just a little dot of super glue, and then tack it together. We're gonna get a whole lot of super glue on our fingertips, but that's alright. Came apart. Oh no! Technical difficulties, please stand by. I got super glue on my fingers. I can't grab my camera. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay. Bump to the camera there. It is a bit silly. Thank you for sticking around, Mr. Tom. No, I am not making projectiles. These are fishing lures. That's a half of a jointed fishing lure. And there's the other half. So there's the lure there. I don't know if you can hear it in there, but got some rattles. And now we just gotta keep on gluing all these heads together. So I got two mirror images of the same half, like that. And then these, oops, I dropped it. These clamshell together like that. Just take some BBs and a little dab of glue. This filament's really stringy. I opened it right out of the package, so it should have been dry. But this silk PLA definitely gets more stringiness than normal PLA does, that's for sure. There we got our next one there. And then we'll just keep on keeping on. Now the interesting thing with the tricolor PLA, I'll see if I could find one of them, but the orientation that it's on the printer bed will change the color pattern that prints out on the lure. Yeah, so there's let's see here. That's the dog and the puppy that's in a crate right now, whining. If you can hear that. These are 3D printed fishing lures, but here we go. There, you see, it's got a different color pattern on it from one side to the next. And that's because this one was printed on a different angle on the print bed than this one. So that's what that is. Where these two were printed on a mirror image on the same angle of the printer. So we'll go ahead and glue this together now. And there we go. These, you gotta hold them together just a little bit with the PLA, I found. There's the head. We'll see if we can find the ones that are different color and put them off to the side for now. Like these ones are a match. Well, we can just go ahead and do these ones now, I guess. Actually, go ahead and but the nice thing The nice thing about these lures is the blanks, you can print like 10 of them at a time or more. On my cutie, on my Sheety X+3, I can print 40 blanks at a time of this particular bait. It's kind of hard to do if the bed isn't like perfectly level. You can get one. You kind of gotta watch it at least at the start. And if you get one that delaminates off the bed, you can cause a cascading failure of the print, which is obviously no good. Oops. I think it's that one, yeah. What you'll notice as I'm gluing these is that I am not really putting super glue all over the bait, the half of the clamshell. I'm just doing a little area because this glue is so thin that as it dries it'll disperse through the halves of the clamshell. I've found, so you don't really need to get it all over the bait. Go ahead and do that. Uh-oh. We need one of these halves. And there we go. There's that. And then we're gonna keep on down the line. Yeah. Oops. I tell you what, with the camera in between me and the baits, it makes this a lot more difficult, that's for sure. My fingers are sticking together too. There we go. If you got any questions about 3D printing fishing lures, thanks for coming by. Appreciate you coming by, Mr. Tom. See you next time. If he's going to bed now, that means he must be over in Europe somewhere, probably. Let's see if... Yeah, I'm really starting to get super glue on my fingertips. There we go. Lose dexterity in my fingertips the more glue I get on them. So that's interesting. You can see the bait wants to stick to my fingers, even though I didn't put a lot of glue on there. And you'll end up with this little white, this off-color white stuff on there from the glue sticking to your fingers. But what I found is the UV clear coat, UV resin clear coat, will just take care of that. Where's the other one that's got the yellow belly on it? So it's this one. Those two go together. And these ones all have... Okay. You want to whittle some. Well, I don't know if you would want to carve this by hand necessarily. These are 3D printed. If you want to 3D print some, the CAD file for these is available on my website. You can go check out my channel, find the link to the website, all that good stuff. If you wanted to get the CAD file and print some of these yourself to make. So that is an option for you if you want to do that. We can... Got to be a little careful with the glue as it sets. Got the rattles in there. Okay. Got a couple more heads to go yet. Fingertips are getting really, really sticky at this point. That's alright. If you're wondering what brand of filament this is, I believe this is ABC Way 3D filament. Silk PLA. Look at that. See how that peeled right off my finger, and then I got that giant nasty looking spot there now. Believe it or not, when we UV clear coat that, this section will clear out. Hello and good morning, Miss Davis, Amy Davis. How are you doing this morning? Thanks for stopping by. We're just putting together some fishing lures this morning. Go ahead and stick these together. And then we'll Good morning, Jenny. How are you? We're building fishing lures today. 3D printed fishing lures, if you've ever heard such a thing. But happy Saturday. No better way to start off a Saturday. I'm glad you're doing well, Jenny. Glad to hear that. It's really sticking to my hands now. See all that peeling off with it? That's alright. I got one more head. And then we'll start doing the tail sections. If you're wondering what these are, that's just little BBs in there for rattles, for weight, lure weight, and to help attract more fish. Alright. Yes, I am putting super glue on it. That's how I stick the clamshells together, and then I do a UV resin clear coat over the entire bait. And hello, Duncan Spider-Man. But yeah, so what I do, this is thin super glue, and I use that to take the two clamshell halves and stick them together. And then you'll notice, if you can see in there, there's two little holes in there for the hook hangers, and then I'll come back later when I got all the halves there with the thick super glue and put the wire hangers in there later. And then when that's all together, I'll dump it in UV resin and clear coat it. Well, thanks for stopping by, Jenny. I hope you have a good breakfast. Go to Bob Evans, get yourself a sausage, gravy, and biscuit bowl. That sounds good right now. Big fan of sausage, gravy, and biscuits, that's for sure. Alright, let's see. Let's get back to... I gotta pay attention so I don't... Oops, glue the wrong colors on the wrong side. Go ahead and stick those together. See, that's sticking to my hands. Alright. And then this one, that one's got a yellow half. So I'm going to have to find the mating one for that. And the other thing with ABS, more so than PLA, ABS filament, I found that you can just kind of take the glue and run it on the seam a little bit like that. And that'll be enough to, see, now my fingers are stuck together. But that'll be enough to get it to tack up for the start, which is all we really need at this point. Come in. But if you do this, I mean, you're gonna get super glue on your fingertips, and that's all right. Super glue doesn't hurt you any. It's not gonna hurt you at all. It just feels a little uncomfortable. And now if you watch what I'm doing here, I'm not even putting any glue in between the bait. I'm just taking it and running it on the back a little bit. And that's enough to hold those two halves together. Until the next step. And that one's got a yellow bottom. Found the other part of that one. Put that off to the side for now. And then we will, oops, keep on going. Man, when I do the wires this way, that's going to be tricky. That's going to be tricky for these baits. That's the nice thing about super glue, though, is how quick it sets up when you're doing this. We'll go ahead and tack that on. Okay. I got enough blanks here for maybe, I don't know, 12, 13 baits. That. If you're wondering what it'll look like when I get closer to being done, this is what it's going to look like. When it's a finished blank, it'll have a hook hanger, the joint, and a hook hanger. And then here's a finished bait. That's what a finished bait looks like. We'll keep on. Oops. I've lost a lot of dexterity in my fingertips at this point. All the super glue on them. Message retracted. Yes, Juan, these are 3D printed. These are 3D printed lure blanks. Little jointed glide bait. And these ones specifically, this is specifically tricolor silk PLA. So these come right off the printer like that. Yeah, I designed this bait. I've got some videos on my channel of me fishing with it. I've actually did a video where I had one of these break and a snag and they pulled apart, and I did a video where I analyzed the break, the fracture on the break, and then traced back to the root cause of the failure. Basically why the thing broke, so that then we can go back and make sure it doesn't ever happen again. So that's pretty neat. I am an engineer by trade, so this is a hobby of mine, but doing that I was able to kind of apply some of what I do for work for my hobby, which was kind of fun. But yeah, this is my design. I do have a website, and you can go to the website and download the CAD file. I do put it up there for $2 to download it, if that's something that anybody is interested. I don't really make any money doing this. This hobby is definitely more expensive than anything. I appreciate that, Juan. There's a bunch of injection injection molds on my website too. If you want to take a look at those, I don't know what kind of printer did you get, if you don't mind me asking. These were printed on an Elegoo Centuri Carbon, if anybody's wondering what kind of printer these were done on. But I've got, oh, the SV08. That's a big printer. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I 100% believe it. I mean, I started on a net A8 10, 15 years ago, whenever that was. So that was probably legitimately was 10 years ago on the net A8, before the Ender 3 was even out. Yeah, some of these fast printers, you can get in trouble with how fast that print head moves. It'll run into itself and start breaking stuff. I've had my fair share of crashes on my printer and had to fix them. But the more you get into it, you're gonna break something eventually. But you're gonna be able to tear it apart and fix it. It's not that bad. I've done it plenty. But yeah, the Max is going to be I'm not super familiar with the SV08. I know I think there's an enclosed version and a non-enclosed version. The non-enclosed will limit you. Well, the non-enclosed would do these ones just fine. You could do these in PLA. This is PLA. This one's PETG. These are silk PLA, so you can do these all in PLA just fine, no problem. It's when you want to do the injection molds. If you go on my website, you'll see a lot of them are injection mold designs, and that's where you don't want to use just regular PLA. At least PETG, which you can do on an open. Yeah, based on the Voron. From what I see, it's basically like a pre-assembled Voron that you could just buy. I'm not familiar with the Voron and what the spec differences are, but I know like a lot of people really like the Vorons, so I'm sure and I've had Silvals in the past. I had an SV04, I had an SV06, I've had a handful of them. They're good printers for what they are and what they cost. But right now, I'm rocking so the only thing you need to get started, here's what I would recommend for you if you're just getting started in the injection molds. I have a sample file that's free to download on my website, and you can just go and download that and try printing that in PETG. And then get an old Pyrex cup and an old microwave you don't want to use for food again. And then get a bunch of old soft plastics, and you can melt them in the microwave. and get an injector on Amazon for like 25 bucks. And you can get started doing injection molds for next to nothing if you do that. The sample canister I have on my website's a Hellgramite lure that I designed. And then I've got a bunch of other injection molds on my website to download. I started doing the injection lures a long time before I started doing the hard baits. I started doing the injection molds last year, and I did started doing the hard baits this year, and I definitely fished this bait in particular pretty hard this year. It's been a good smallmouth fishing lure. Lunch meat. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing good this morning. So we're gonna, and this is real complicated science for the hook hanger. So I got a little piece of wire here. I'm gonna bend it. Okay. And hold on to your seats because this is where it gets complicated. We're gonna glue it. Alright, you following me? You still following me? And then we're going to insert it. If it'll focus. There you go. So you got any other questions for me while when we're having a fine discussion on this Saturday morning? This has been, it's always nice to have. Yeah, that bad boy's not going anywhere. Rock solid. But anyway, it's always nice when I'm doing a live stream and there's actually audience participation. That makes it so much easier to sit here and put these things together for a couple hours. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Hello, Jenny. Yeah, the segmented baits are really nice. I bent the wire here. Oops. I'm getting stuck to my bait trying to talk to everybody now. Yeah, Jenny, I remember you. You were just on earlier and then you said you had to go grab breakfast. I appreciate you coming back. You're the first person I've seen making these. Well, this is my design. So I'm not surprised you haven't seen anybody else making these baits because this is all me. All gas, no brakes. There we go. See, look, now my fingers are stuck together. Oh, there's fingerprints left all over the bait. Fingerprints all over it. Just wait till we get to that joint. Here, look at my fingers. Got all the glue on there. Doing this is going to burn my fingertips, burn my fingerprints off sooner or later. We'll go ahead and just a little dab of glue there. Grab one of our wires. would destroy a pair of pantyhose. Well, are you volunteering? Don't sign up for something that you don't want, Mr. Lunchmeat. We're having fun here. We're having fun here. Who knew that 3D printing fishing lures could be getting so much, we'll say, R-rated action. There we go. That should still do. So I sell the CAD model, and if you reach out on my website, I'm sure I can figure out how to get you some of these. I could sell you some. Yeah, the thick glue and the thin glue are definitely like the thick glue I like for using the hook hangers, because the thin stuff is so runny that, like, when I try to use the thin glue in the hook hangers, it'll run straight through the bait. And if I pour it at the top here, and I got my hand down here, it'll run straight through the bait, and my finger will get stuck down here. And then, like, that's why I use the thick glue. And really, a bottle goes a long way. I've made hundreds and hundreds of these baits, and I'm still got the same bottle of thin glue. I've probably made over 200 of this, not this exact bait, but like similar. Like, I've got a version that's not jointed, and between those two versions, I've made definitely between 200 and 300 of these things. So, bottle goes a long way. There we go. And if you're curious, like, if you want to go on if you go on my website and you download this CAD file, and you're wondering what hardware to get, this is 30,000th aluminum wire. Actually, it's not steel wire; it's aluminum. And I use these 6mm split rings for the hook hangers and the joint. You can get it on Amazon. I think it's like $7-8 a pack for the split ring. This is the wire. It doesn't need to be aluminum wire. Really, 30 to 40 thousandths wire. Honestly, I just had this in the garage, and that's what I use. There's no real reason other than that. Beyond that's what I have, so that's what I use. So, if you do go with the steel wire, I would recommend using stainless steel, like 304, 316 stainless wire, because, I mean, these are going to be in the water, so just mild steel is going to rust. So you're going to want the stainless. So, But the aluminum wire, it's easier to bend than the steel, which is both good and bad. It's bad because you got to be really careful when you're designing it to design around it, because you don't have quite as much strength with the aluminum wire. But if you take that into account, you can make some really, really solid baits with the aluminum wire. And I actually, in a video on my channel, I analyzed the joint on this bait, specifically this joint here, in FEA, which is finite element analysis software. So if that interests you, that type of nerd stuff interests you, it's on my channel. So you guys got any other questions for me? You've been a good crowd this morning. Good crowd this morning. I like it when the audience asks questions. So attempting to pour some soft baits. So what I would recommend, I'm sure if you fish I was going to say I didn't think they were resin. I had to reread that. But if you want to do soft baits, the best place to get started is to just remelt your old lures in a Pyrex cup in an old microwave that you're never going to use for food again. That way you don't got a gallon of the stuff that you might get into it and think, well, I don't really like doing this. Because I'll be honest with you, the plastic stinks. It'll stink up, if you do it in a basement, it'll stink up your entire basement. And if you've got, so just something to keep in mind, that if you're getting into soft plastics, that melting the plastic, it does stink. And you can get a headache pretty quick from the fumes. So keep that in mind if you've never done it before. So what I would recommend, just start by melting down your old baits. And I've got a sample CAD file that you can download for free on my website of it's an injection mold. It's not an open pour, like you said. You could probably find, I'm sure you can go online and find an open pour mold to try out for free. I am eyeballing the hell out of the aluminum wire, to be honest with you. The specific length is specifically about that long. So there's really no, I'm going about there and about here and about here, about there, about there, about there, about there. And what I would say is, for the length of the wire, you just kind of get a feel for it. You would be surprised by like how short of a wire you can get away with glued into the bait before it's going to start pulling that super glue out. And I use 20-pound braid with these, and I've broken plenty of line before I pull the eyelets out. The only time I've pulled eyelets out is when I did not use super glue, and I just was relying on the UV resin clear coat to hold the wire in. You have to super glue them. You cannot rely just on the clear coat like I tried. So, but we'll go ahead and push that one in, and go ahead and glue this one in. And I use the same wire. When I get to it, you'll see I got a good number more of these to put together before I get there, but you'll see when I start doing this joint here, I'm using the same wire. It just makes it easier to not require different hardware for the different areas of the bait. So I use the same split rings that I use to put the hooks on that I use to construct the joint. It just makes it cheaper and easier to put everything together. And the total cost of these baits, like one bait for all the material itself, probably 40 to 50 cents, hooks and all. They are not expensive. Now the most expensive thing is going to be getting a 3D printer. So if you already got one, then you've spent most of the money you need to spend to get into doing this. The hooks, I get 100 at a time for like $10. Split rings, $2.50 in a pack for like $7 or $8. The wire I haven't bought wire because I already had it. But I know the wire's not expensive. So, I mean, you go to Walmart and you buy a fishing lure, it's probably going to run you at least $5-6, say $5. Any more, probably around 7 or 8. But you go to Walmart, you buy a fishing lure, spend say $5 on a lure. You know, that adds up quick. I think we all got a tackle box with at least 30 lures in it. 30 times 5, that's $150 worth of tackle. Make 30 of these things, you got, I don't know, what's 30 $15 of material into them. And if you download the CAD file off me, then you got another $2 into it, so that's $17. So then of course you got the time invested into it to put them together, but I normally just sit down for a couple hours on the weekend and do what I'm doing right now. So really not that bad, I would say. It is definitely relaxing. Definitely relaxing. By the time I'm through all the blanks I've printed, I'll have made about 13 of these. So 13, say, I gotta cut this one a little shorter. Say 13 times 5, you're looking at, what is that? 75 bucks worth of lures for a couple hours, and maybe $3 worth of filament, if that. So, but the time investment is really probably the biggest thing to get into doing this. So, that's true. I like sticky fingers. Sticky Fingers should be like an alternative metal band name. Or like a child's coloring book. Because children always have sticky fingers. Always. They're just always sticky. There we go. And you can tell there's not a lot of science in what I'm doing right now. I'm just gluing shit together. It's all over my hands. If you thought my fingers were bad before, I'll show you them now. Look at that. It's like my finger, it's like my fingernail. My fingernail's like glued to the pad. Crusty. All right, I got 3 more of these. Then I can start doing the joints. There we go. Yeah, I got like 80 grit fingertips right now. "80 Grit Fingertips" also sounds like a band name, maybe, I don't know. These wires I cut a little bit on the longer side than I really need them. Oops. Lost it. But if you want to see this lure in action real quick and then come back to the live feed, there's a YouTube short that I just posted a couple days ago where I'm using this jointed bait and I was listening to Leonard Skinner's Freebird on the side of the lake at the dam, fishing the rocks. And I watched the largemouth come up and grab it, like right at the shoreline. And it was during the guitar solo to Freebird. Well, that was playing. It was pretty great. Not gonna lie. One of my most memorable fishing experiences recently. It was like a movie script moment, you know. It was pretty epic, yeah. It was a decent largemouth too. I wish I could have got a picture of it. The damn thing flopped right off the hook. I lifted it out of the water, and then it fell off the hook right away. And flopped itself onto the ground for a little bit, then back into the water before I could get to it, because I was on the rocks. He'll be right back. He's got to go check out the short. There we go. We'll see what he thinks when he comes back. I'm excited to hear what he has to say when he comes back from watching that. Okay, we're getting there. We're really doing it, Red Band. We're really doing it. Okay. Cutting the wire to length. And then we stick it on in. And stick it on in. Oh, I forgot. I got to do the tails too before I can do the joints. Alright, so I need another 13 pieces of wire. I think it's 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. Oh, you're in Florida. Man, Florida would be nice. I'm up in Ohio. Yeah, I really wish I was in Florida right now, because Ohio, it's about probably 40 degrees out right now. That really puts a damper on the fishing. Go ahead and just get these wires bent. But so then if you're in Florida, what are you fishing for down there? Probably like snook, I bet. It would be interesting to see these in salt water. I'm not even sure. I don't think these have ever been tried in salt water. I don't know if they'd sink or float or what. I'm sure. I mean, you can print them heavier or thinner by using more infill. More infill, the heavier the bait is, more tendency it has to sink. And I use these mainly in the river. And in the river, the one thing about the river is the river's got current. And the current, the baits tend not to sink as quickly because they're moving because of the current. So I'll tend to print them so they have more moderate sinking action. Mackerel, yellowjack, and the mangrove snapper. I'll be honest, I don't know. I mean, I know I've heard of mackerel and I've heard of yellowjack and I've heard of snapper, but I have no idea how you fish for those or whether or not these would catch those. I assume they would if they're a predatory fish. I mean, a little fish looks like a little fish to a predator. So I would assume these would stand a chance if you're doing shore fishing in the salt water. Oops, where'd that go? There it is. So, oops. That's the one thing you got to be careful of is pushing the wire in too far. You need enough space to get the split ring for the hooks in there. And this is interesting to me because the YouTube lives, for whatever reason, people really seem to like to watch me compared to my other content, at least, this is by far my most popular content that I do are these live streams, which is interesting to me. So you're going to print them for your uncle. Print them for your uncle. That's a good idea. Can make some Christmas presents for the family. There you go. That'll win you some brownie points with your uncle, I'm sure. No, but if you do end up getting the CAD file for these and printing some, if you catch, I'd want to see pictures of whatever you caught on them. You could there's a contact me section of the website where I'd love to see pictures of what people catch on my designs. So, and I don't understand this, but like I make this for these are smallmouth lures in my mind. I use these for smallmouth bass in the river, mainly. But I've caught a bunch of channel catfish this summer. Yeah, that'd be great if you send pictures, anything you catch, especially if they're saltwater fish. I just want to see that, you know. But what I was saying was, I don't understand why channel catfish would hit this bait. and the quantity that I've caught them in. Like I remember, like I've caught channel cat on lures before. Don't get me wrong, but few and far between. Couple here and there. But like there was one day where I was out on the lake, and I got a video on my channel of this. It's not this exact lure, but similar, fairly similar. Glide bait, printed glide bait. Good morning, Mr. Zebra. But as I was saying, I got a video on my channel. I caught 3 catfish, channel catfish on glide baits, printed glide baits, in one afternoon, fishing along a causeway, rock wall causeway on the lake I was at. And I could not for the life of me understand why even the last video I did of fishing this bait I'm putting together right now, I caught a channel cat out of a spillway, and I'm just like, what in the world are these channel catfish doing hitting these glide baits? Yeah, the saltwater cats, I saw a video of a guy fishing like a bayou in Louisiana, and I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, but I was just surprised that how much the saltwater catfish looked like a regular catfish. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that, but hardheads, yeah, that's what the guy was calling them in the video I watched. This looked like more or less, I mean a little bit different. Looked like any old catfish I've seen. So, I mean, I imagine there's, when you're coastal waterways like that, there's probably a lot of fish that go back and forth that are fairly, there's like a saltwater and a freshwater version of it. Gaff top catfish. That's an interesting name. Name them like Carrot Top or something. But I bet you, given my experience with these baits, I bet you you'd catch a saltwater cat, one of those hardheads on these things. Because I don't know what it is. I legitimately don't know what it is about these baits. So, Mr. Zebra, I was just telling Juan, the CAD files are available to download on my website. This is Silk PLA, if you're wondering. It's tricolor Silk PLA. So it comes right off right off the printer, looking like that color pattern and that shine. It is, I think I charge $2 to download the CAD file, if you would be interested in doing that. I do have a couple files on my website that are free to download. So this, I use a couple different filaments. This here that I'm doing here, this is tricolor Silk PLA. There is a link to the site on my channel, yes. But yeah, I'm having two different conversations now. But yeah, super glue on the fingertips is kind of rough. It's not that bad. But anyway, to answer the filament question, this is tricolor Silk PLA. This is PETG. This is a finished bait. That's PETG. And then these are some blanks that I got sitting here. These are just regular PLA. I've also used ABS for these. Really, any of those three I know work just fine. With the ABS, you have to be careful with the super glue, because with the ABS, it sticks so quick. The super glue cures almost instantly as soon as you put it on the ABS. I don't know why. Don't know what it is, but that's what you'll run into, and it becomes a real challenge. Because when you're trying to glue those clamshells together, it'll instantly cure, and if you don't have them lined up right, it'll mess it all up. But we're going to go ahead and keep on assembling the baits. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of it now. Getting into the nitty-gritty of it. And the next thing we're going to do is, I got a bag of them that's already open. Here it is. Take our split rings, and we're going to just dump them out. And then what we want to do is get some super glue into the joints section, just like that. Got a little bit much there. That's okay. Let's kind of clear some of that out and get that in there. And what we're going to do is get that wire started. And push that wire. I really got to pay attention to what I'm doing here, so I don't know if it's coming through good on the camera or not. Put that split ring in that slot. Push that wire up. And then do the same thing for the next slot. And there you go. Now you got your two split rings. Two split rings in the through wire. And then we'll just go ahead and clip that. So now you got the first part of the joint done. And you're going to do the same thing with the back half, where we're going to get super glue all over the joints. And you really want to get super glue on those tips of the joint, right in here. Because that's where a lot of the strength of that joint is going to come from. So you're really relying on the bond. It's not so much the bond, it's not so much the strength, it's not really at all the strength of the filament. It's the, oops, I don't want to do that. It's the the bond of the wire to the filament that creates the strength in that joint that you need. That's what does it. So let's get, there's a little bit of filament that's kind of causing us a little headache there. Get that cleaned up a little bit. And come back in with my wire and poke that up through there. Oops. Bent my wire. This is probably really bad video. This is probably not the most riveting cinema. But there we go. There's our joint. We'll clip that little extra bit of wire. And there's our joint on a finished, that's a finished blank. So the next step is to let the glue dry and then clear coat that bait. So, and there's a bunch of super glue on there that looks not so great, but that will clear up when you put clear coat over it, and you won't be able to see the super glue there after you put the clear coat on at all. It clears up entirely. But man, my fingers are just covered in glue right now. Alright, on to the next one. Put a little dab, 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 dab. You really want to get glue all throughout that joint. I have a little pair of pliers. Taking a little pair of pliers and helping for that will really help get that wire through. Oops. It's hard to pick up the split rings with glue all over your fingers, which I've said like a bunch already. Feed that wire through. How much would I charge for the baits? These ones, honestly, I would do, if you're in the US, I can't ship them outside the US. I would do 6 of these for $30, including the shipping. So $30 shipped. For 6 of them, that works out to $5 a bait. I have to sell them in the quantity though, otherwise it's just not worth. Otherwise you're paying $10 to ship one bait, and it's $15 for you for one bait, and that's just not worth it. I don't think. At least maybe to somebody they'd pay that, but I would want to sell them in quantities of 6. So I think that's a fair price for them. I don't know. You guys tell me if you think that's a fair price. I mean, this is a hobby for me. I'm not out here trying to make a living off doing this. So, I've sold a handful here and there before. Never a lot. But I got a full-time job too. So, I couldn't really sell a lot of them even if I wanted to. What I'd really think would be cool is if I could find like some bait shops. I mean, look at all that on there. I'll need to get that off before I clear coat that. That would show through. That much glue there would show through. There we go. We got another finished blank. That one up there. I'm gonna peel some of the super glue off my fingertips. It's really building up. That's kind of gross, isn't it? I don't know if you guys can see the pile of super glue that I'm ripping off my fingertips. And the unfortunate thing about the super glue is, like, you really can't even wear like latex gloves because it's just going to stick to the gloves and the gloves are going to get all nasty. You'd have to, like, and you don't want the gloves sticking to the bait. That's for sure. So, alright, let's get back to it. Take our wire. Get that ready to go. Get some glue in there. And then push the wire, get the wire started. Split ring. And then another split ring. There we go. And then we'll clip that wire. And then take our next blank. Get super glue all up in there. And take our wire, get it started. And then push it through. Okay. And trim it. Work that joint around a little bit. You'll need to make sure the joint works itself around after the glue dries before you go to clear coat. Isn't that a nice looking bait? I mean, look at that. Look at that color. There we go. We got 3 blanks. And then we'll move on to the next one. Get super glue all up in there. Super glue all up in there. Seems like the stream ran out of steam. I might lost a lot of the audience for some reason. I guess I must have said something that upset a bunch of people. Or this part of the video just isn't as visually appealing. There we go. Man, that's just so pretty. That color, I tell you. Really good color from this filament. There we go. Get the wire started. And then get the slots together. Push that through. Push that through. Okay. There's another bait. All right. On to the next. Yeah, this part isn't as entertaining to watch necessarily, but Just a lot of my hands covering stuff up. Okay. And we'll push that through. And push that through. Push. Come on now. Push that through. Okay. And trim our wire. Put that down for a second. And glue up. That was a lot of glue there. That was a lot of glue. Don't need all that much. I see a little crud in there I gotta clean out from printer filament. Get in here and just clip that. And then push that wire through. Looks like we broke off a little filament there on this one. That's alright. Put a little extra super glue on it. And the chat's quieted down quite a bit from earlier. If you guys got any questions for me, feel free to ask them as I'm going through this. I will certainly answer them. There we go. Man, my fingertips are getting just covered in glue. Alright, well, I might end the stream here. That's what we've finished. The finished blanks we've got so far. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these together off camera, because kind of seems like you guys aren't as interested in this part, and it's a lot easier to do it this part without the camera in front of me. So you guys have a good weekend. Keep an eye out for any future streams. I do this from time to time, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.